Hello everyone, it's Ryan again with Dark Winter Moon in Boston, and today I wanted to talk to you briefly about some practices that you can use to boost your own spiritual growth. So let me start with the word practice. So a practice suggests something that's done regularly. So preferably whatever you do, it's good to do it on a regular basis, best if it's daily. And practice also to me means it's something that you start out at that you're not really that good at, that maybe you don't see results, but as you continue to apply yourself to it, you practice it and you get better. I believe that anything can be practiced and improved, that you can get better at anything by doing repetitions of it. That applies to magic, that applies to meditation, that applies to reading, that applies to art or language. It applies to everything. So I started out with meditation, getting kind of frustrated. It was kind of hit or miss. I would do it for a while regularly, and then I would stop. But over time, it finally dawned on me that meditation, when you're sitting down and you're trying to do it, you are doing it. Even if you're not entirely successful, even if you're still judging what you're doing, still thinking about it. The goal of meditation is the practice of it, not actually an end goal. It's the path, it's the journey, not the destination. So over time, when I realized that meditation was something that you just kind of did, that released me to stop judging what I was doing. And I think that's something key to most practices. Don't judge what you're doing through this preconception of what you think that you should accomplish with it. This can be applied to any of the other things I'm going to talk about today. So basically, when you're able to stop judging yourself, you're able to allow yourself just to experience the practice of meditation. And after I did that, I felt like I started really getting into a rhythm with meditation. And what meditation has done for me is allowed me to still my mind and calm myself and focus my energies and thoughts to the point that I'm more receptive to what the universe and what my deities are communicating with me. I use it before I create a sigil or before I do a tarot card reading to center myself. And if you want a great meditation practice that I have used over the years, I've created a video a few months ago on a chakra meditation that I do pretty regularly, and I've linked it up here. So check it out. It's a really great, helpful guide to get you started on a regular meditation practice. So again, that's the word. I meditate almost every day. And by doing that, even if it's just for a quick 5 minutes or even less, if you can commit to that practice, even for a short time every day, you will be surprised at the results you get. So I'd recommend trying it. Another great way to add to your spiritual growth is a practice that I have done pretty much all my life, or at least once I could read and write, and that is journaling. So the reason why journaling I feel like is so helpful and effective is it's a way to give you an unbiased outlet for your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. I don't know if everyone else is the same, but for me, I tend to be very self-critical about what I'm saying and thinking. And so when I write, I don't have to put that filter in. I can literally say what I feel and what I mean and get it out. And the interesting thing about that, though, is it hasn't always been that way. It's interesting how different practices work with each other. And I think through meditation, the trick that I was talking about where I was able to stop judging my meditation, I applied that later to my journaling, and once I stopped judging myself for what I was writing and thinking and feeling, my journaling became even more cathartic. It became even more powerful as a way for me to get out my thoughts and feelings and emotions and to organize them. So journaling is something that I know not everyone is great at. Not everyone finds it easy to write. And so again, I would go back to doing a practice. Set aside 5, 10, 15 minutes each day to just write out your thoughts and feelings without judgment, and you would be surprised how much better you'll feel. The interesting thing that I find about it too is that when I get in the zone with writing, it feels very much like I am meditating as well. And so I feel like too that these other practices, as you do them, you can get into this sort of very focused zone that is also a meditative experience. So I find that very interesting too. Another component to the journaling that I have found very helpful, specifically in magic and witchcraft, is creating what is called a book of shadows. So this is my book of shadows. As you can see, it's much loved and much used. I have dreams of rebinding it. And this has often served me not only as a place to record spell ideas, things I've learned about the craft, experiences of the craft. It has been a journal for me as well. So there's no reason you can't combine a journal and a book of shadows. You can use them together, you can use them separately, you can do any combination thereof that works for you. So what I find too interesting about a book of shadows in the magical realm is that I chose a sketchbook that was unlined, which I prefer unlined pages so that I can do whatever I want on them. I feel like the lines get in the way for me. I took this and I found some fabric, and I didn't do a great job, but I did cover it with velvet at the time, which used to be green, but is now kind of a deep rusty woodsy color, which I love too. So my point about that is that when I chose this book and I covered it lovingly and with intention, that added to its power for me. And by adding in different pages and even stickers and allowing myself for it to be a creative magical outlet, along with being a journal, it added to my practice, it expanded it, and it's something. My book of shadows is so personal to me. There's very few people that have seen these pages besides me, and there's something about witchcraft that in some ways I feel makes it more powerful by making it a secret. Another thing to call a book of shadows, another term for it, is a book of secrets. And that's not exclusionary, it's personal, it's deeply personal. So this book in some ways is me. It's sympathetic magic and adds to its power. And when I write something in here, in some ways I'm talking to myself. And I'm also talking to deity in the universe. And I think that's a very powerful way to connect and expand your spiritual consciousness. Another thing that I find adds to my spiritual practice is reading. Books of all kinds can add to your knowledge, and many books, depending on what meaning they have for you, can add to your own spiritual growth. From the self-help book to books on witchcraft, books on spirituality, even fantasy and science fiction and fiction books can all provide you different perspectives and insight that expand your mind and spirit, and give you a different way of looking at things that is sometimes helpful for if you're stuck or you're trying to find answers and move beyond a blockage in your life. So I have found there are many benefits to reading, and I have used my intuition a lot of times to decide which book I should read next, and it always feels like whatever book it is on whatever subject, follow some sort of continuity if I trust myself to follow that. Which brings me to another point, the development of intuition that has come due to meditation, journaling, and my other practices that I do on a regular basis. So with that expansion of mind and spirit that you get from a regular practice, you get more in tune with yourself. And when you get more in tune with yourself, you're able to move things out of yourself and out of the way that are holding you back and blocking your gifts. And one of those gifts that I've really noticed that a regular practice has enhanced has been my intuition. Physical practices are also really helpful for developing yourself. For me, yoga has been that practice, which in itself also is a meditative experience. But it doesn't have to be yoga. So you can do a martial art that has a spiritual component. You can do Pilates. There's lots of things. You could run. You could hike or go outdoors, especially, is important. To me, I think being outdoors in and of itself is very conducive to opening yourself up and growing yourself spiritually. One of my favorite things to do in that regard is to walk. And there's something about walking that starts to free the mind. It's very rhythmic. You align your breathing with the movements of your body. And for me, I do a lot of great thinking when I am walking. And so I do a lot of it, and I try to do it on a regular basis. In that regard, speaking of being outside, one thing that I also find very expansive and growthful is going outside, getting away from the city at night and taking a look at the night sky and just spending some time in the presence of the heavens, away from city lights and away from other distractions like your cell phone or other technology. Try that. Drive out into the country, stand and gaze at the stars for some time and see what happens. That has been, if I think back over my life, I grew up way out in the country, and I had the benefit of being able to walk out into my front yard and see a nearly unobstructed view of the sky on clear nights because we were pretty far away from cities and other light pollution. And I just remember as a young person spending hours outdoors staring up at the heavens and just thinking and contemplating, and my heart would open up, and it was like I was talking to God and talking to the universe. And that was one of the experiences, one of the practices that allowed me to realize that Christianity didn't really have much meaning to me, that I would feel so much more power, presence, and connection with the divine standing outside at night, looking up at the sky and communing than I ever did in a church. And that forced me eventually to reassess my life and set me on a path of self-discovery and growth. So yeah, try that. Try getting out, away from the city, away from lights, at night, away from distractions, and just staring at the heavens and allowing yourself to be present in that. And then, of course, there's music. Adding music into any of the practices that I have just talked about is a great way to enhance your experience of them. It's a great way to kind of transport you out of your own head and out of your own body and allow you to have more of an experiential experience of your path. One interesting thing that I've found about music is that it also enhances group ritual experiences. So performing music together or experiencing it together as a group in ritual space further connects you together and allows you to experience the magic together and enhances the magic. Another thing is that the performing of music. I'm a musician, and I have also noticed, especially when I know something very well, if I'm performing, I kind of transcend the experience. It's almost like I watch myself as I'm performing. Um, and it becomes this very focused meditative experience. So, music in its listening to or performing of is also a great way to improve and expand upon your path. It's ancient, it's primal. From listening to a full orchestra or classical choir to drumming in circle, music is a powerful way to enhance your path. And of course, there are many other practices that you can add to your journey, to your path to enhance it. These are but a few. The main takeaway that I would give to you is, if you are looking for a new practice, look for the ones that put you into a focus meditative state, or one where you feel relaxed and aligned with that practice. If it just absolutely doesn't feel right to you, then maybe it's not. But I would encourage you to give it some time before you make that determination. In my experience, the things that maybe have been uncomfortable at first have ultimately turned out to be very beneficial to me. And there have been times where I have let go of a practice and picked it back up later, sometimes years later. And I still got benefit out of the first time I used said practice. And later when I picked it up, I realized, oh, it's not what I thought it was. I'm different now, so my approach can be different and my connection to this practice can be different. So what I'm getting at is experimentation is okay. You're never failing at any of these practices. If you don't succeed at them, just give yourself space, give yourself time, and allow yourself to explore. That's what I would recommend. So, as always, thank you all for joining me. I hope this has been helpful. I would appreciate your support with likes and subscribes. And also, you can find me on Instagram at dark.winter.moon. I also have a website, darkwintermoon.com, or excuse me, darkwintermoon.boston. And I also have a Patreon, Dark Winter Moon. So I would love all your support. Thank you, blessed be, and have a wonderful weekend.